Well, the weekend is here. We're all happy about that. Michigan is in a weird position. That's why I titled the video the way that I titled it. They're in a strange position right now. Uh, so in the offseason, we heard that Jim Harbaugh could be interested in the NFL again. He's tried to sort of reassure Michigan fans. He hasn't said that he will be the head coach at Michigan, but that the plans are to be the head coach at Michigan. So Michigan fans are a little bit nervous right now. And then on top of that, Michigan being served notice of allegations stemming to the COVID year. And these could be serious allegations. From the article that I looked at for Jim Harbaugh, one of those punishments could be some type of suspension. I don't know how many games it would be or anything like that, but one of the punishments for the allegations could be suspension. That's not good. That's not good at all. By the way, if you're wondering why the studio looks a little bit different, I'm actually over at my parents' house. So for those of you who sometimes say, you're just a YouTuber in your parents' basement, well, tonight you would be correct. I am in my parents' basement. Sorry about the glare. We tried to figure out a background for the massive TV behind me, but we just didn't have time. Before we go on, please hit the like and subscribe button, guys, especially if you're a college football fan. That is all we do around here. We'll sprinkle in some NFL. We'll talk about the NFL here in the coming days because of Wild Card Weekend and the playoffs and the Super Bowl and all that stuff. We'll also talk about college basketball because of March Madness. And by the way, if you haven't, please check out our Patreon page. Our Patreon page is much different from everybody else's. We actually reward our Patreon. So check this out. Before we go any further, check this out. During the regular season, we have what's called the score prediction contest. Every week, the Patreon who gets the closest to the actual score and picks the correct winner wins $20 every single week. All right. On top of that, we did championship week. Winner of that, which was Robert Gurney, won $25. And now I'm trying to figure out who the winner was for the bowl prediction contest. Winner will receive $50. We will do a March Madness prediction. The person with the most correct picks for the March Madness brackets, it's going to be at least $50. We have to at least match bowl prediction, but I'm thinking higher than that. We could be looking at $100. Could be looking at $100 prize. But let's get to the topic at hand. Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. There's three separate ways that this could go. Three separate ways. This is why it's so interesting to me. So the first is Jim Harbaugh has been talking to NFL teams. That is a fact. He has been talking to some NFL teams. He is interested in the NFL. So that's one avenue. He could leave Michigan for an NFL team. I'm hearing he's talked to the Broncos, possibly the Texans. Beyond that, I'm not sure, but I know he's talked to at least a few out there. He's interested, and he's flat out said he's interested. Jim Harbaugh could be a coach in the NFL starting the 2023 season. That is a fact. That's avenue number one. Avenue number two, Jim Harbaugh could get fired? Yeah. Jim Harbaugh could get fired because of these allegations. Now, they wouldn't fire him just because he got suspended, but if this pans out like that, they could have just cause to fire him and not owe him a penny. In other words, Michigan has to think about the future, right? And Jim Harbaugh has been wishy-washy at Michigan from the get-go. He is not 100% committed to Michigan. He's not. That's a fact. He's not committed to Michigan. So what they could do is, all right, well, we know he's going to leave. He's going to leave, guys. He's going to leave, all right? So in order to get ahead of this thing, and we got served notice of allegations, he might serve a suspension and all this other stuff. So in order to get ahead of this, what we could do, guys, is fire him with just cause. That's depending on if they can find the just cause clause in those allegations or in his contract. That way they can fire him and not owe him a penny. That would be, a decent scenario instead of firing him and owing him a lot of money. It'd be better to not owe him a lot of money. Third option is the complete opposite. The complete opposite. Michigan could actually give Jim Harbaugh a raise. A raise. Yes, that avenue is available as well. Because, all right, well, let's not give up on him. He is talking to NFL teams. In order to keep him here, let's give him a raise. Because Jim Harbaugh has done great the past 2 years. Here's the crazy thing about this whole thing. Up until 2021, he wasn't doing good at Michigan. I mean, he did okay from time to time, and then he had the bad season in 2020. Overall, not great. He was not living up to his contract. So what did they do? They actually cut his pay. They cut his pay. What happened? That actually lit a fire up under his rear end, and they did good. Won the Big Ten 2 years in a row, got to the playoffs 2 years in a row. Yes, they lost in the first round 2 years in a row. But getting to the playoffs, that's a nice accomplishment right there. And the more times you have a chance to knock on the door, the more times you have the chance to actually open it and go in, get to the national championship, and win a national championship. It is much harder for a program to win a national championship if they're in the position of 8-4 is a good season than if you're in the position of Michigan and you're actually getting to the playoffs. Getting to the playoffs is step one. That is accomplished. Now they need to get past step one. That's the problem. So which one of these scenarios is highest likelihood? I actually like a combination of the two scenarios, as in Jim Harbaugh does want to go to the NFL, but Michigan wants to counter and give him a raise for him to stay at Michigan. So I think the two highest probable avenues that this will go is he either does leave for the NFL or they give him the raise to stay at Michigan. So so a combination of the first scenario and the third scenario. And I think that's what's going to happen. We could see a massive, massive increase for Jim Harbaugh as far as his salary goes. Bad news is I actually think that Michigan will take a step back this year. Yeah, not a bad team, but I don't think that they win the Big Ten. I do think that they lose to Ohio State. And looking at maybe a 9-3, possibly a 10-2 season, because their schedule is still cake. They're still going to have a lot of wins, but they're not going to be as good as what they were this year. I thought Michigan was poised to win the national championship. They reminded me of Georgia, very, very similar teams. Those two teams were very, very similar, and I just thought that they were ready. I thought they were ready. The year before in 2021, it looked like they were glad to be there, but they were scared out of their minds. They weren't used to it. Coming into this year, they looked better. They were undefeated. They went on the road and blew out Ohio State, and they just looked more confident. And then somehow TCU, with the 2 pick sixes, they knock out Michigan, and all of a sudden, Michigan fans are actually mad at Jim Harbaugh. They boo Jim Harbaugh after they lost to TCU. Listen, I understand expectations, and Michigan fans expected to beat TCU. I expected Michigan to beat TCU. In fact, I expected it to not be competitive. I didn't think it was going to be competitive. I thought Michigan was far and away the best team, but TCU's defense was tenacious in that game and got 2 pick sixes, and they needed both of those 2 pick sixes because it was still a close game, even with the 2 pick sixes. So without that, TCU does not win the football game. But you got to credit their defense. They created those pick sixes. So their defense created more possessions and more points for the offense, and they straight up scored. So I know that was a big letdown, but that's still a great accomplishment, especially compared to what Michigan was doing before they cut his salary. So Question is, would giving him a raise actually put him back in the land of complacency? I got the money. We're good to go. So let's take it easy a little bit, guys. Let's take it easy a little bit. Never know, because look at Jim Harbaugh before his pay cut. Michigan, I mean, good at times, but not that good. And they cut his pay, and all of a sudden, Michigan's a playoff team. That is crazy. That's a good point, Mark Murphy. TCU definitely looked like a completely different team against Georgia than what they did against Michigan. And think about the playoff picture as a whole. Everybody wants to say, man, Georgia smashed TCU, right? That's a fact that happened. So because of that, number one, TCU didn't belong in the playoffs. Now, they did beat Michigan, so no, that's incorrect. And then on top of that, Georgia only beat Ohio State by 1 point. So Ohio State is a really, really good team, right? Except Ohio State got smashed by Michigan at home. The whole thing does not make sense, guys. The whole thing does not make sense. So Michigan goes on the road, blows out Ohio State. Ohio State is one field goal away from beating Georgia. TCU beats Michigan, who blew out Ohio State. Everything's still okay. Everything still makes sense. And then the national championship happens, and Georgia absolutely obliterates TCU. That's when everything started to not make sense. What? And then Alabama fans chime in. Well, yeah, we obliterated the team that beat the team in the Big 12 championship, so we should have been in the playoffs. We were one of the 4 best teams. No, you still had 2 losses in the regular season, and you didn't look good in a lot of your other wins. The glaring one was 24-20 win over Texas A&M at home. It should not have been that close. You looked bad, Alabama. You didn't look good this year. You didn't look like a playoff team. You didn't look like a national champion team. So one good win does not wipe away an entire season. That's what really doesn't make sense to me. Alabama fans are acting like because they smashed Kansas State, that wipes everything else away. No, those 2 losses are still there. And the fact that you look bad in multiple games, still there. Still there. And before you say anything, I'm not an Alabama hater. I'm not. In fact, in the preseason, I thought Alabama was going to have an elite team, and I predicted Alabama to go undefeated, win the SEC, and win the national championship. I'm not an anything hater, really, except for Pitt, but they're our rivals. But I even gave Pitt their credit that they deserved. Truth is the truth. I don't hate any of those teams. So that argument doesn't make sense. I'm not every time I say something remotely negative about you, oh, you're a so-and-so hater. No, I'm not. I just state the facts, and those are the facts. And I understand that those 2 losses were close losses, and they were on the road. But you lost to who ended up having a 4-loss season in LSU. You lost to a 4-loss team on the road, and you lost to Tennessee, who got blown out by South Carolina on the road. So, no, you still don't have a solid argument. You just don't. By the way, those of you watching, commenting in the comment section, if you have a comment or a question or even a troll attempt you want to make fun of me that you want everybody to know about and you want me to address, the best way to get that out there is the super chat button. It is that little $ that you see on the bottom right-hand corner. Anything you put in that super chat will be put on the screen, just like you see the P.O. box, and I will read it and I will address it, which, by the way, I did have a Tennessee mini helmet in my P.O. box today. So, Tennessee, you are officially represented at Gold and Blue Dude. I got that today. So, Tennessee is represented. Good to go on Tennessee. And Will Klein said he sent some Georgia gear, so Georgia will finally be represented at Gold and Blue. That one kind of surprised me. I thought Georgia would be one of the teams that would be represented sooner rather than later, but it took them a while. But we will be getting Georgia gear in soon. And I believe somebody said that they were sending in something Auburn as well. So we'll see about that. But today it is official. I received the Tennessee mini helmet. So Tennessee is represented in the mini helmet collection. So I can mark that off the list as far as high-profile teams with large fan bases that are not represented. There are still some large ones out there that are not represented. Just to name a few, Oregon's not represented. Florida, Georgia, I don't know if that's a mini helmet coming. So if it's a Georgia mini helmet, I can mark them off. Texas A&M not represented. Nebraska, let's see here. Penn State's not represented. Just a few of the bigger brands that are still not represented. So we'll see if that happens in the near future. So anyways, and by the way, I am going to do a regular video on what I just talked about with Jim Harbaugh and the possible avenues and, what might actually happen, which I told you what I think is going to happen. It's going to be a combination of Jim Harbaugh will want to go to the NFL. He wants to go to the NFL, and Michigan will counter. So will he choose the NFL or will he choose the counter? I don't know. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, do I have the list on here? Where did it go? Maybe I accidentally ripped it off, which is not good. Oh, crap. I think I did. Sometimes when you write notes and you get in a hurry, sometimes you rip out the wrong page, and I think I did. All right, so instead, we'll kind of talk about sort of what we talked about last night, and that's the way too early Golden Blue Dude preseason top 25 conference championships and who I had making the 14 playoff and the 12-team playoff. We talked about the 4-team and the 12-team last night and who I would have in, but for those of you that weren't here, we'll go over that again. What I didn't talk about was my way too early preseason top 25 and who I think is going to be in all the conference championships. Now, remember, I go through phases in the offseason. This is phase number 1, coming fresh off the regular season. Just my initial opinion on who's going to have a good year going into 2023 based on, the trend that I see, maybe some of the hires that they made in the offseason, who they lost, who they got. But then we'll have another way too early preseason top 25 after spring games. More transfer portal transfers. We'll know where they're going. So I'll be able to update it. And then the final preseason Golden Blue top 25 will be right before the regular season. So this is the first edition. This is not the final one. This is just the knee-jerk, right off the cuff, out of the gates prediction for my way too early top 25. So we'll start at number 25. Number 25 coming in my way too early top 25 is going to be Boomer Sooner, the Oklahoma Sooners. So basically, I think that Oklahoma is going to have an 8-4, 9-3 type of season. Better than last year, but still not great, not elite. Maybe it looks like Brent Venables is building something by the end of the year. We'll see. I just have a sneaky suspicion that Oklahoma is going to be better than what they were last year. I don't think they're going to win the Big 12. They might be in the conversation of contending for the Big 12, but all in all, better, but still not great. So I have Oklahoma at number 25. I expect the defense to be much better this year. And I expect Boomer Sooner to get more transfers through the transfer portal on defense. So that's one side of the ball that I think will be much better in 2023. I was actually surprised at how bad a Brent Venables defense was over there at Oklahoma. I think that will improve. That's number 25. Number 24, this might surprise you because I'm a West Virginia fan, but I have Pitt at number 24. They got Jerkovich, the talented quarterback from Boston College. That's going to help stabilize their offense. They're going to have a good defense again. I think Pitt is in the same boat as Oklahoma, 9-3 or 8-4. But one of their losses will be in Morgantown to West Virginia. That's a great rivalry. And last year, a bad 5-7 West Virginia just about beat Pitt on the road. So this go around is going to be in Morgantown. West Virginia is going to be better. Pitt's going to be about the same. So it might be classified as an upset, but I expect it. I'm going to be there to witness it. Last year, I was there to witness the loss. This year, I'm going to be there to witness the win. The win. There you go. Pitt at number 24. And because the ACC doesn't have divisions, I think Pitt will finish 4th or 5th, something like that. By the way, Oklahoma, I expect them to also finish either 4th or 5th in the Big 12 as well. Number 23, the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is poised to take a step forward. Maybe a same situation, 9-3, 8-4, but I'm leaning more towards 9-3. I really liked what I saw, the improvement from last year. I think Joey McGuire is really recruiting at a high level for Texas Tech. Consider it's Texas Tech. And I think Texas Tech will surprise a few people. They might actually be on the brink of a 10-win season in 2023. We'll see what happens in the transfer portal. I'm really liking that Texas Tech-Oregon matchup with Tyler Show coming back to his old school. Great matchup right there. I like the Red Raiders. I think the Red Raiders are going to be good. Borderline double-digit win team right there. So Texas Tech at number 23, and I think they'll probably hit that 4 spot. It'll be between Oklahoma and Texas Tech as far as who fills that 3 and 4 spot, possibly 5 spot, depending on if they hit the 8-4, 9-3, or the 10-win season. Texas Tech at number 23. Number 22, Louisville. I think Louisville made not a great hire in Jeff Brom, but Jeff Brom is definitely better than Scott Satterfield. They dodged a bullet because Cincinnati took Scott Satterfield off their hands. They were looking to fire Scott Satterfield, but they would have owed him money. But instead, Cincinnati's like, we'll take him and we'll pay off his contract. So, okay, let's go get a better coach. They did get a better coach, but I think Louisville could have done better. Having said that, I do think Louisville will be better in the ACC. I think they can make some noise. I think they could upset some people. And since the ACC does not have any divisions, I think they're going to be that number 4 team. So Pitt could be looking at the 5 spot in the ACC, and Louisville be looking at the 4 spot. Number 21, the best group of 5 team, in my opinion, for 2023, and that's UTSA. I think UTSA is really climbing the mountain right now. They will be in their first year of the AAC, but they don't have to contend with Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston, 3 of the best teams in the AAC. So the AAC is going to be much easier. So yes, I do think that the Roadrunners of UTSA can win the AAC and be the best group of 5 team for 2023. And if the 12-team playoff existed this year, I would pick them to be the representative for the group of 5 teams. Now we're sliding into the top 20. A lot of people might think that I have this team too low. I'm just not quite sure about this team that I'm about to mention. Maybe they're going to be a lot better than what I'm about to say, or maybe they're going to be worse. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be worse. I think I'm actually lowballing it. If anything, they'll be better. Number 20, LSU. I'm kind of being conservative with LSU. I don't quite trust them. They had some good wins, but they also had some blowout losses. And they did not look strong at all versus Georgia in the SEC Championship. Having said that, LSU could be a 10-win team and challenge Alabama for the SEC West again. Can they beat Alabama in back-to-back years? I don't know. This year it's on the road. So you have to think about last year versus this year. What was one of their wins? Alabama at home. This year it'll be on the road. So I'm flipping that to a loss. That's why I'm dropping them slightly. One game can drop a team, 5-10 spots. That's how I'm thinking about this. I'm flipping that Alabama from a win to a loss. So I have LSU at number 20. Perhaps I'm wrong, and they're much better than what I'm thinking, but I'm sticking with number 20 for now. Number 19, the Fighting Shane Beamers of South Carolina. I might be a little bit conservative with South Carolina as well because I think they can contend for that second spot in the SEC East, just like I thought they could last year. Ended up being Tennessee, but they beat Tennessee head-to-head, so they weren't that far off. I'm telling you again, South Carolina could be marching their way to a 10-win season this year. But I'm going to be a little conservative with the Gamecocks at number 19 because their schedule is a little tough. All right? South Carolina's schedule is a little tough, and that's the only thing that's making me hesitate just a little bit. Number 18, This one will surprise you. I promise. Michigan. I have Michigan at number 18. Yes, I think Michigan takes a decent step backwards this year. I don't think they win the Big Ten. I don't think that they get to the playoffs. Still a decent team. Still could be a double-digit win team. But I have them sliding in at number 18. I'm not going to say turmoil going on right now, but a lot of uncertainty going on right now. Appreciate you stopping by, Hillbilly Skeptic. Appreciate your support, buddy. But Michigan at number 18, maybe they surprised me and they're a little bit better. I don't know, but I think they're a little bit upset that they got bounced in the first round as well. So I think the morale is not going to be as high. Maybe the hunger to get past the first round overrides that. I don't know. I just have this feeling that Michigan is not going to be quite as good as what they were last year. Just a gut feeling. Coming in at number 17, the Baylor Bears. The Baylor Bears. Baylor had some of their losses last year, they actually should not have lost. The turnovers, the West Virginia game, I'm telling you, they are cursed in Morgantown because West Virginia got every bounce of the ball. Their quarterback got knocked out of the game. He had a turnover where he simply just dropped the ball and West Virginia scooped and scored. West Virginia had no business beating Baylor last year. This year, I think Baylor takes a step forward. I think they're going to be a good team. I think they will contend for the Big 12 championship in some form or fashion. Get ready for the Baylor Bears to have another bounce back year. Dave Aranda, he's still there. He's still a good coach. So we could be looking at a double-digit win season for the Baylor Bears. I like them. Number 16, Oregon. Oregon's going to be good, but they're not going to be elite. They're going to have trouble on the road again. And the Pac-12 was good last year, and they're going to be good this year. So Oregon will pick up a couple of losses. They're going to be one of the best teams in the Pac-12, but they're not going to be the best team in the Pac-12. Speaking of the Pac-12, number 15, the UCLA Bruins. Chip Kelly is building something over there at UCLA. I think UCLA could take that step towards that double-digit win season, like I thought last year as well. They went from 8-4 to 9-3. This year they can go from 9-3 to 10-2. A lot of key pieces coming back. UCLA recruiting at an all-time high level under Chip Kelly. I like what he's doing. The schedule isn't especially brutal. Don't be surprised if the Bruins hit 10 wins. I told y'all last year that UCLA was going to be good. Everybody laughed at me. What happened? 9-3, top 25 team. Same story this year. UCLA number 15. Number 14. They're going to finish in the same spot in the SEC. Oh, which, by the way, you know what? I haven't been doing where they're going to land as far as the last few picks. So LSU, I'm going to say second in the SEC West. South Carolina, third again in the SEC East, but maybe second. You never know. Michigan, I'm going to pick them third in the Big Ten East. Baylor, I'm going to pick them second in the Big 12. And then Oregon, I will put them at second in the Pac-12 North. All right, here we go. Number 14, Tennessee. The second place team, I project them to be the second place team in the SEC East. It could flip-flop between them and South Carolina because I think South Carolina is right there. But this year, South Carolina has to go on the road to Tennessee. That's why I'm flipping that win to a loss. Tennessee will still have a high-powered offense. I think their defense could take a slight step forward. I still don't think they're going to challenge Georgia for the crown of the SEC East and the SEC overall, but they're going to be a good team. Top 15. They ended the season with a win, a nice blowout win over Clemson. So Tennessee's looking good. Number 13. This team, I think, is in for an unexpected bounce-back year. I loved the hire in the offseason on Wisconsin on. I'm taking the Wisconsin Badgers at number 13. Wisconsin, make no mistake about it, they already have talent over there. The problem was the play calling. Too conservative, too shrink the game too much of the time, just boring, blah. That's the best way I could explain it. Wisconsin was blah. They had the talent, but they were just blah in their play calling. Luke Fickell will change that. Luke Fickell will change that. And I think Wisconsin will be in contention for the Big Ten championship. In fact, I'm predicting Wisconsin to win the Big Ten West. I think their schedule sets up nicely. I think they're ready for a 10-win season. They're ready to bring in some skill, some high-level talent on the skill position instead of just relying in the trenches. Don't get me wrong, Wisconsin won some football games because they were elite on the offensive and defensive line. But now with Luke Fickell there, they're going to get some high-level talent on the skill positions as well, not just running back. I'm talking quarterback and wide receivers as well, and maybe even some tight ends in there. Wisconsin at number 13, and I have them finishing first, winning the Big Ten West. Number 12, North Carolina. Yeah, I think they're going to be good again. Defense could be slightly better, but not great. Not a top 10 team. Solid team, but not top 10. I think North Carolina could finish as high as third in the ACC. Maybe scare a few people. That North Carolina-South Carolina game is going to be a good game. That's going to be between two good teams. Winner of that's going to have the best chance of having that double-digit win season that I've been talking about. But I do like North Carolina. They are in the easier conference, so they could have some more wins, even if they do lose to South Carolina. Drake May has announced that he's coming back, so that offense is going to be one of the best in the ACC. The problem is their defense. Maybe it's a little bit better, but I don't think it's enough to make them a true contender for the playoffs. Coming in at number 11, they surprised everybody last year except for me, and I think they're going to be good again because they went out and got a good quarterback, Oregon State. Oregon State's going to be good again, so don't be surprised again. I tried to tell y'all last year, but you wouldn't listen. Top 25 team. They're going to be a borderline top 10 team this year. I think earlier I said Oregon second in the Pac-12 North. Well, there's no divisions in the Pac-12, so I take that back. Oregon, I'll have them in the 4 spot. Oregon State in the 3 spot. No, Oregon at the 5 spot. Oregon State at the 4 spot. As far as where they're going to finish in the Pac-12. Speaking of the Pac-12, number 10, I have the USC Trojans. The USC Trojans. I think the Pac-12 is going to be even tougher this year, so I think USC actually picks up a couple of losses in the Pac-12, and I actually have them finishing third in the Pac-12. They're going to have an elite offense. They're going to score points all over the place, but they're going to have a few games where that offense might not be totally in sync. And if you don't have a defense to back you up whenever your offense is having an off night, last year the defense actually did help them. They went on the road to Oregon State, and their offense was actually off that night, but the defense stepped up and they won. I think it was 17-14 with a late touchdown. For USC to pull out that win. Oregon State honestly should have won that football game, but you know what? The defense showed up for one game. For one game, USC's defense showed up, but at the same time, Oregon State's offense wasn't, super elite. But I have USC at number 10, number 3 in the Pac-12. Number 9 in my way too early top 25, I have the Utah Utes. They're just steady. Nothing spectacular about them. They win the Pac-12, but they pick up losses that they shouldn't pick up, like losing to Florida on the road to start the season. Shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. I like Utah again. I think they're a strong contender to make the Pac-12 championship. However, I think they finish second. I think there's one team in the Pac-12 that's going to be better than Utah, and that's why I have Utah at number 9, finishing second in the Pac-12. Number 8, Penn State Nittany Lions. Double-digit win season this year. They returned most of their production, recruited at a high level. They will challenge for the Big Ten championship. They will challenge. Maybe they win the Big Ten. I think they have a good shot to win the Big Ten. But I'm not confident enough to call that. I'm not confident enough in Penn State to say, yes, I think they will win the Big Ten. I think they could. I think it's possible, but I don't think they will. Solid team, Penn State. I have them second in the Big Ten East and number 8 in my way too early top 25. Number 7, Clemson Tigers. And this definitely will probably change. Definitely, probably. That kind of contradicts each other. But anyways, Clemson, a great hire today. They fired Brendan Streeter at offensive coordinator and hired Garrett Riley out of TCU. That is a great hire. The offense will be much, much better. So this might be lowballing Clemson. I'm sticking with it because that's how I wrote it. I wrote this out before this hiring was done. So I'm going to stick with it for now. It'll probably change down the road. Clemson, number 7, they're going to be a good team. I think that they're going to be better than this year. I still have them second in the ACC because I think there's a team that's going to be just a little bit better. Not saying that Clemson's going to be bad. I just think there's a team in the ACC that's going to be a little bit better. And that brings me to number 6, Florida State Seminoles. The Noles. The Noles are poised to be an elite team. Here's the way I see the ACC going. I think Clemson beats Florida State in the regular season in Death Valley. But I think that will be Florida State's only loss. And I think Florida State gets to the ACC championship. And then in the rematch, Florida State beats Clemson for the ACC championship. So we could be looking at a 12-1 Clemson ACC runner-up and a 12-1 Florida State ACC champ. That is a legit scenario that could happen. And for now, I'm sticking with Florida State number 6 and number 1 in the ACC. No divisions, remember? Number 5, back to the Pac-12, and who I think will be the best team in the Pac-12, the Washington Huskies. Listen how crazy this is, guys. Listen to this. Washington had a 10-win season, right? They lost to UCLA. That's excusable. But they inexplicably lost to Arizona State. Why is that a big deal when it pertains to the Pac-12? I'm not talking about just Washington. Washington's, and I'm going to do a video on this, by the way. Washington screwed the Pac-12 by losing to Arizona State. Do explain, Gonna Blue. I'm glad you told me to do so because I'm going to right now. If Washington State would have beaten Arizona State, they would have made the Pac-12 championship. Okay, what's the big deal? Hold on. Over Utah. Okay, what's the big deal? Hold on. They would have made the Pac-12 championship 11-1 versus USC 11-1. In other words, 2 Pac-12 teams would have been in the Pac-12 championship with just 1 loss. And the Pac-12 would have made the playoffs. Washington screwed the Pac-12 out of the playoffs by losing to Arizona State. Yes, they did, because what happened? Utah, with their 3 losses, got to the Pac-12 championship again and beat USC and knocked the Pac-12 straight out of the playoffs. I told y'all last year that Michael Penix Jr. is an elite quarterback and that the offense is going to be much better with Michael Penix. And that's exactly what happened. And this year, I actually think the defense, offense, and it's going to be elite again. And the Washington Huskies could be an undefeated Pac-12 champion this year. I'm telling you guys, that is a legitimate possibility. So don't be surprised if that happens. Last year, I tried to tell y'all, hey, don't be surprised if UCLA gets to a double-digit win season. Okay, they didn't, but 9-3, that's pretty stinking close. Don't be surprised if Penn State has a bounce-back year and has a 10-win season. That's exactly what happened. Don't be surprised if UCLA sniffs a 10-win season. They finished 9-3. Don't be surprised if Michigan State takes such a big step backwards that they miss a bowl. Oh, you're a Michigan State hater. What are you thinking, Golden Blue? They just gave Mel Tucker a massive extension. He's making a truckload of money. Problem is, Michigan State didn't have a good defense the year before, and every time Walker, their outstanding running back, was injured and had to sit out, they lost that game. Well, Walker was on to the NFL. Yeah, 2-2 equals bad season for Michigan State. I think Michigan State has a slight bounce-back year this year and gets to a bowl, but nothing to brag about. Could be, building something to where eventually they'll be elite again. but I'm not seeing anything spectacular. And I'm telling you this year, don't be surprised if Washington not only wins the Pac-12, but they are undefeated. There are a couple of tricky road games, for Washington, but they'll have Michael Penix Jr., and I think they'll have an elite defense to back him up. Washington Huskies, they're going to be really, really good. Now we're in the top 4. These are the ones that probably won't surprise you, but one of them might actually surprise you. Hold on. I'm getting there. Number 4, the Ohio State Buckeyes. They're going to be pretty good on offense, and Knowles has got that defense looking good. I think the defense is going to be even better, and that's why I think the Ohio State Buckeyes will win the Big Ten again. And this year they will beat Michigan on the road. Question is, will they be an undefeated Big Ten champ, or will they be a one-loss Big Ten champ? I don't think it will matter. I think they'll get into the playoffs no matter what. But, a lot of people are probably going to predict Ohio State in the top 4. So that's nothing, groundbreaking. Number 3, the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think Alabama bounces back this year. Nick Saban, you can't keep them down. I think they win the SEC West, and they get to the SEC Championship. But they still don't overcome Georgia. Or maybe they do overcome Georgia. I don't know. I think Georgia is going to win the SEC West, maybe win the SEC, who knows, and get to the playoffs. Alabama will be back in the playoffs in 2023. Number 2, this is the team that might surprise you. Number 2, especially coming from a West Virginia fan, because I like to do this. That's right. I have Texas, the Longhorns, at number 2. Texas has a crap of talent. Steve Sarkisian actually surprised me last year. He's actually a better coach than what I thought. They only lost to Alabama by 1 point. They did get better throughout the year. I think in the offseason, especially with this tremendous recruiting class coming in, I think they'll win some transfer portal battles. And I think Texas will be elite. This is the year. If I have Texas fans watching, this is the year that Texas fans will be able to say, Texas is back. I'm telling you, Texas fans, I know what I'm talking about. Do I hit everything 100%? Absolutely not. I had some big misses last year. I did. I had some big misses. TCU comes to mind. I thought they were going to have transition issues, identity issues, adjustment issues. Forgot about that one name, Garrett Rowley. Yeah, that changed the game. And their offense already had the talent, and they just needed the offensive coordinator. In comes Garrett Rowley. Oh, by the way, who have you not heard on this list? That's right, TCU. I do not have TCU in my way too early top 25. I do think TCU slides big time because they lose a lot of talent from this team. I do think TCU will make a bowl, but I don't think TCU will be a top 25 team. I don't. There is one screw up with this. I didn't, for whatever reason, I don't know, because I do think they will be a top 25. I didn't have Notre Dame on there. So if I had to switch somebody or bump somebody out, I'd probably have Notre Dame somewhere in the 12-11 range. Yeah, that's how bad I messed up. And I guess out goes Oklahoma, and everybody else slides down. Sorry, OU fans, but I don't know why I forgot to put Notre Dame in there. So Notre Dame was supposed to be in there, and they probably would have been around 11 or 12. I think Notre Dame will sniff a 10-win season. I do. I think they're confident. They beat some good teams. They lost to some bad teams, but they cleaned that up, and they beat the bad teams as well. Voila, 10-win season. But number 2, the Texas Longhorns. They have the talent. Steve Sarkisian proved last year that he's able to make good adjustments in game. And the only game that I didn't like as far as his coaching was TCU. I know the final score was close, but it was because of that scoop and score there in the fourth quarter. Otherwise, TCU would have blown them out 24-3. But because of the scoop and score, 17-10. Other than that, I think Texas had a fantastic year, and I think they will build on that this year. I think they will beat Oklahoma again. And Texas, I have Texas as the Big 12 champs this year and getting into the playoffs. Listen, if they win the Big 12 with one loss, they're in. They are in. maybe even 2 losses. I'm telling you, the playoff committee loves Texas. They would love for Texas to be in the playoffs. So if the circumstances are right, even with 2 losses and they win the Big 12, Texas can still be in. But I don't think they have 2 losses. Texas has a chance to go undefeated. I know that sounds crazy. I never thought I would say that, but man, they have a great team coming in this year. That leaves the number 1 team. This is anticlimactic. Yep, Georgia. Georgia's defense will be better. I do think the offense step backwards, but have you looked at their schedule? It is absolute cake. Georgia will be in the playoffs, undefeated going into the SEC championship. May lose to Alabama. I don't know, but it won't matter because the playoff committee will put in a one-loss Georgia over everybody, even if they're a one-loss champion from another league, because they're back-to-back national champions, and they'll want to give Georgia every opportunity in the world to try to possibly get a three-peat because it's never been done before, but Georgia has a chance to do it this year. Think about that. Think about being a Georgia fan. Here in hashtag 1980 for 41 years, you finally win a national championship. Then you win another championship. Now you have a chance to do something that nobody has ever done before. Three-peat. Man, it's crazy. That is crazy. So to recap, if you didn't make it, factoring in adjustments. Sorry, Oklahoma, that knocks you out of the top 25 because of Notre Dame. Let's go through this again, all right? Number 1, I have Georgia. Number 2, Texas. That's the one that will probably surprise everybody. I really, really like Texas, though. Number 3, Alabama with the bounce back year. But notice I had Texas above Alabama. That's right. Texas has a chance to go on the road and upset Alabama. But even if they don't, I think that will be a competitive game. Number 4, the Ohio State Buckeyes winning the Big Ten this year. Number 5, Washington. I think Washington wins the Pac-12, possibly undefeated. Number 6, Florida State. One-loss ACC champ. Yep, I could see that. Number 7, Clemson. One-loss ACC runner-up. That's what Clemson might be looking at. Number 8, Penn State. Second best team in the Big Ten East. Number 9, Utah. They are the second best team in the Pac-12, in my opinion, as of right now. Number 10, USC. That would put them in third in the Pac-12. Number 11, Oregon State, another Pac-12 team. There's your fourth place team. Number 12, North Carolina. Yeah, I'll keep North Carolina at number 12. Number 12, North Carolina, and that puts them in number 3 in the ACC. Number 13, this is where I'm going to start changing things. Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is a double-digit win team, and I think they're going to be just a little bit better than what they were this year. So this slides everybody down one side. So number 14 is Wisconsin. I think they win the Big Ten West and play Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship and lose. Number 15, I have Tennessee. I think they'll be a smidge worse than last year because Hendon Hooker will be gone. But still a good team. Number 16, the UCLA Bruins. They're probably going to have about the same year as they did this year. Maybe one win better. Maybe. Number, let's see. Hold on. Number 16. There we go. No, number 17. Hold on, guys. So 14 Wisconsin, 15 Tennessee, 16 UCLA. So 17. Yeah, that was right. I was right the first time. 17 is Oregon. I had to bump them down one spot because of the whole Notre Dame thing. Good, but not great. Probably your fourth or fifth best team in the Pac-12. 18, Baylor. I have Baylor in the Big 12 championship getting beat by Texas. 19, Michigan. I do think Michigan stumbles backwards just a little bit. Could still sniff a double-digit win season. Number 20, South Carolina. Maybe they can go back and forth with Tennessee for that second spot. We'll see. I think they're going to be a good team. Number 21, LSU. I'm just not confident in LSU. They still ended up with 4 losses this year. As good as everybody thought they were, they still ended up with 4 losses, okay? You can't forget that. Number 22, UTSA, who I think will be the best group of 5 team this year. Number 23, Louisville, big bounce back year, fourth or fifth best team in the ACC. Number 24, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. I think they will be a top 25 team and finish in the top half of the Big 12. And number 25, hanging in there, Pitt. There you go. Pitt did not get bumped out with the Notre Dame thing, and they hung in there. There you go. Conference championship matchups, I think Georgia beats Alabama for the SEC championship. I think Florida State beats Clemson for the ACC championship. I have Ohio State beating Wisconsin for the Big Ten championship. Texas beating Baylor for the Big 12 championship. Washington beating USC for the Pac-12 championship. So playoff prediction, way too early playoff prediction. The 1 seed Georgia playing the 4 seed Florida State. The 2 seed Texas playing the 3 seed Washington, the rematch of the Alamo Bowl. But if the playoffs were expanded to 12, the first round matchups would look like this. The 12 seed Baylor would go on the road and get blasted by the 5 seed Ohio State. The 11 seed Texas A&M would actually go on the road and beat UTSA because UTSA is actually in San Antonio, and Texas A&M fans would fill that stadium up, and it would be a home game. So I'd have Texas A&M going on the road and beating UTSA. That's right. I think Texas A&M will bounce back. They made a good hire on the offensive coordinator position, and that's where they've been struggling on the offensive side of the ball. Have a ton of talent. I think Texas A&M bounces back in a mighty, mighty way, all the way up to second place in the SEC West. I know I don't have them in my preseason top 25. I don't know how to make that make sense. Just how my brain worked. Number 10, the 10 seed Penn State would go on the road and play the 7 seed Clemson in a good game, but I would still have Clemson edging them out because of a home game. And then finally, the 8-9 matchup, the 9 seed Notre Dame makes it to the playoffs just to have to go on the road and get obliterated by the 8 seed Alabama. So it'll be just another reason. If the 12-team playoff happened this year, it would just be another reason for Notre Dame to join a freaking conference. It is time. And the new 12-team expansion thing strongly encourages that. We'll see if that happens. Anyways, guys, that's a wrap. We talked about more than just the Michigan Jim Harbaugh thing. That turned into something completely different. But that's okay. That's how we do around here. In case you're wondering, if you came in before I explained it, I'm actually in my parents' basement. So yes, all you guys that make fun of me and say, "Oh, you're just a YouTuber in your parents' basement." Well, for this live show, you're actually correct. I'm actually in my parents' basement. I decided to visit them today, and my brother actually has a nice studio in the basement, so I decided to use that today. But anyways, that's it for tonight's live show. Y'all enjoy your weekend, but y'all know how it is. We're going to be back tomorrow with a ton of video content and, of course, another live show tomorrow. Usually we do these at 10 p.m., but today, because of the schedule, I had to do 8:30. Yeah, that was what it was, 8:30. It's Friday, guys. Enjoy your weekend. For most of us, it's going to be a 3-day weekend because of the holiday on Monday. No school, no work, all that good stuff. So there you go. Y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy your 3-day weekend, and we will see you back here tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow, 10 p.m., go to Blue Dude Live. Let's make it a big one, big show. Let's have over 100 people watching at one time, at any given time. Let's go over the 200 mark. It's been a while since we've gone over the 200 mark. I'm telling you, all you have to do is everybody in the comment section tell somebody and have them tell somebody, and boom, there you go. We're sniffing 100. And we'll also do the mass text thing that we always do. Anyways, y'all have a good weekend, all right? And don't party too hard, all right? Because hangovers suck. Y'all know it. I know it. They suck. So don't overdo it, guys. But we will see you tomorrow.